Hello everybody, my name is Marco Robinson, #1 best-selling author, award-winning entrepreneur, winner of the People's Choice Best Real Estate Investment Company 2015, recently winner of the Tatler's Best Restaurants in 2015 for Naked Restaurant. So I'm having a good year. But anyway, on this blog today I'm going to be talking about risk and why people are so afraid of risk and really what people think about when they associate money with risk. Now, what's happening in conventional lives is that most people with money or any kind of money, salary even not really very much money, is what they do is they go to the bank. Because the common perception is that banks are safe. So if you put the money in the bank, you don't have to worry about it. You'll save up for a rainy day is the kind of, the kind of popular old housewives kind of sayings, yeah? But in reality, that is very different because in the last 15 to 20 years, more banks have gone bankrupt than at any other time in history. Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers, I can go on and on and on. HSBC are now in trouble. Royal Bank of Scotland's had to be bailed out. Lloyds had to be bailed out. I can go on and on and on. So banks, are they really the safest places? When you think about that, banks, let's take the UK for example. Now, if the bank goes bankrupt and you have more than £80,000 in the bank, you're going to lose everything above £80,000. So actually, are banks the safest place to put your money in terms of risk? Now, the other thing that people don't really think about in terms of risk is, in this bank, what return are you getting for your money? So if we think about the global interest rate on average, varies from like 0.5% to like 3 or 4%. You're looking at getting a return of 1% in your bank account, your savings account. So if you put $10,000 into a bank account, every year you'll be delighted to receive an amazing figure. Think about this, right? Think about this, of $100. Now, the question here is, guys, is that money really working for you? The answer to that is definitely no. And the reason it's definitely no, because the rate of inflation or the cost of living is 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 times this right now in most countries in the world. And as you've probably noticed in the last few years, the cost of food has gone up, government service tax, VAT, all these things that we're paying extra for now just to live the normal life. We're paying 25 to 30% more than we were 5 years ago to live. So really, the value of this money is actually going down. In fact, in terms of risk, a bank is probably the worst place that you can put your money. Now, the other flip side to that is that you can get a credit card from a bank and you can spend on that credit card more money to enjoy a better lifestyle. The problem is you're going to be paying 20% interest to do that, and that's very high risk. So, everything to do with the bank, I am going to put in a category of high risk. So let's just write that down there. Now, what are the alternatives to putting your money in the bank? Put it under the mattress? Maybe less risk because, well, it's under the mattress. At least you can feel it, you can see it when you want to. However, we think about stock market, we think about property, and we think about business. So these really are 4 things that people are continually thinking about of where to put the money. Now, stock trading, I ask people, do they think that's high or low risk? Now, what I have to do here is qualify what we mean by risk associated with the stock market. So if you are an expert in stock trading, if you are an expert analyst, if you are an expert trader, and you've got a great track record of making money, then the stock market for you would be low risk. So basically, I'm qualifying these areas with how much knowledge you have on each of these disciplines. So the more knowledge you have, the less risk is involved when you're investing your own capital. So stock market could be low risk, it could be high risk, depending on your level of education here and your level of expertise, okay? Now we come to business. Now business is pretty much the same thing as the stock market in terms of, do you know how to do business or do you have no experience whatsoever? To give you an example of what I mean, approximately 80% of businesses that start in the first year are going bankrupt in the first year. Because the people that are doing those businesses don't know really how to run a business. They only know how to be an employee. So they don't know how to sell, they don't know how to market, they don't know how to manage, they don't know how to do the accounts, they don't know how to do the tax, blah, 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 blah. They don't know how to manage people, lead people, they don't know how to capture orders, have stock. I can go on, the list is endless. So if you are not an expert in business or an entrepreneur in business, then that would be very high risk to put your money into. Then, the last thing on this board really is property. Now, I would say out of all these 4 areas that property is the lowest risk. Now, yes, you can get higher returns on the stock market. Yes, you can get higher returns in business. However, with property, think about this. Everybody needs somewhere to live. Everybody needs a roof over their head, right? So if you think about everyone needs a house to live in, what you've got to think about really to win in property is going to places where people are moving to, buying houses where people are moving to, where there's job growth, where there's population growth, where there's development into the area like transportation, education, environment, all these kind of things. And of course, where it's easier to borrow money. Now, this is the lowest risk because when you buy a property, you only have to make a decision once to invest in the property. If it's the right property, this property is going to pay you an income every month for the rest of your life because you've got a tenant who needs somewhere to live. So what this is doing is driving the risk downwards and making the risk calculated and lower. So banks is definitely the highest risk because you get so little back from the money that you put into it. And here's the deal, guys. When you put money into a bank, what the bank does is the bank actually goes to the stock market and they start playing on the stock market. The bank actually goes to property, starts investing in property, and the bank also goes to business, starts investing in business, but they give you a measly return of 1% on your money. Now, is that fair? Well, it's fair because you chose to do that. So the banks, you're actually allowing the bank to do that. And the thing is you've got to start understanding and thinking in different ways. For example, why don't you think in this way? Why don't you get the bank to be your slave and serve you rather than you being a slave of the bank? What I mean is that when you invest in property, for example, what you can do is you can borrow against that property from the bank. Now, this is a way of leveraging your money. So you can put $10,000 into a property. You can borrow another $90,000. You can buy a $100,000 property and you can get a rental return of, say, 10 to 12% on that money. So the money that you're putting into it, you're getting a return cash on cash of even more than 10 and 12%. Plus, you're actually able to capture a property, and when the property goes up in value, you can borrow against the property again, leverage, and get more income from that property. So this is why I love investing in real estate, because it gives you an income and you don't have to analyze it all the time like you do in stock trading or business. In these two areas, sometimes you have to keep putting money in to keep those businesses going, to keep ahead of the competition and you know, all these kind of things. So think about risk differently to the way that you're thinking about it now. Don't leave all your money in the bank. Just leave 3 to 4 months of emergency equivalent, like 4 months salary, as an emergency fund. That's what you should do first. The rest of your money, you have to invest it. Because here's the deal, guys. Rich people invest first and spend what they have left. Poor people spend first and save what they haven't got left. That's why the rich are rich and that's why the poor are poor. I was poor, very, very poor, very, 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 very poor, and I was able to turn that around and become very rich because of the way that I thought differently. And remember, you know, I was a school dropout. I was on my own with my mum as a child. My dad was a gambler. She left him, and she had to move from town to town. And it was a really horrendous childhood. We had absolutely no money whatsoever. So I know what it's like, guys, to struggle and struggle and struggle. However, anything is possible once you are here. Once you know this mind is in fact the best tool that you've got, and you can learn very quickly. But the best people to learn from are the people that have got what you want, because they're qualified to tell you how to do it. So do that. Think of risk differently. This is Marco Robinson. Thank you very much.